to my kitchen. Today we're gonna make some French macarons. The first time I tried French macarons was probably about 1.5 years ago, and it was at a party and they were Costco macarons, and I tried them. I'd always seen them, but I never tried them, and I was like, they're good, but they're not like great or anything. And then later my daughter, she brought some homemade macarons home, and they were so good. Homemade is so much better than the store-bought macarons. And after that, I was searching all kinds of recipes, and I wanted to try macarons for myself at home. And I found a recipe and I made them, and I'll show you a picture of them here. My first time making macarons, and they turned out, and you know, you always hear how finicky they are and everything, but they turned out, the top wasn't exactly super smooth or anything, but the rest of them, they had the little foot and everything that our macarons are supposed to have. And so I was so excited. So this is going to be my second time making macarons, and hopefully they'll turn out. And also, I always thought they were called macaroons, and macaroons are coconut and chocolate. Once I started searching for recipes for macarons, I realized that they're called macarons and not macaroons. They're two different cookies. So you learn something new every day. Okay, so the first thing we need is some egg whites. And I'm gonna link the recipe in the description box below. So we're gonna separate, my hands are clean, and I'm doing a double batch because I wanna make 2 different color cookies. And I'm making some French buttercream, and that batch of French buttercream will be able to ice 2 batches of the French macarons. And it takes 5 egg yolks for that French buttercream, so it'll be perfect. It takes 6 eggs for the double batch of macarons, and then 1 batch of the French buttercream will fill all of them. Okay, so we're gonna get started cracking our eggs. And I'm just going to use my hand to separate the egg whites. Okay, I'll just get the whites and the yolks into separate bowls. There are so many flavors of macarons too, and different shapes of macarons. They're really cute and they taste so good homemade. The recipe that I'm linking below, they do aged egg whites. I did not do aged egg whites when I did the recipe, and it worked out fine. So it's up to you whether you want to age your egg whites or not. To age their egg whites, they just put the egg whites in a bowl and then put some saran wrap on top and poke some holes and put it in the fridge for a couple days to kind of dehydrate the egg whites. But I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to use the fresh egg whites. I'm saving that egg yolk out because we only need 5 yolks for the buttercream. Okay. And now we're just going to set our egg whites aside for a moment. And I've got my blender here. Since I'm doing a double batch, I did go ahead and blend some sugar up in here. But for this second batch, we've got 90 grams of sugar. And the organic sugar, the granules are kind of big. So I'm going to run it through my blender so it breaks them down a bit. Because for the macarons, you want everything as light and fluffy as possible. So we're going to get that in here. and we're going to get our 90 grams of sugar that we just did into this bowl. I'm going to make one batch at a time because I'm not really sure how well it will double since this is only my second time making them. So I don't want to take any chances. I know one batch will work good. Hopefully. Okay, and now we're going to get our almond flour and our powdered sugar. And they do measure with a scale for this recipe because it is finicky. So to hopefully ensure that we get a good macaron, we use the scale to measure all the ingredients. So we are going to get 140 grams of almond flour, I went a little bit over. There we go, 140. Okay, and now we need 130 grams of powdered sugar. So we're gonna Z out our scale. Okay, that's 140, perfect. And now we are going to blend these two items up. If you have a food processor, you can use a food processor. Every time I get a food processor, it ends up breaking. So I am going to use my blender. I have a tiny food processor, but I'm going to use this for the macarons. Okay, and I can see that the almond flour is on the bottom, so I'm going to carefully open this and stir the almond flour a little bit into the powdered sugar. And you don't want to do it too long because I guess it could turn into almond butter. Just want to get them broken up finely. Okay. Okay. sifter here. So we're gonna sift this twice. Okay, I think I got pretty much everything out of there. Now we're going to sift these through here. Okay, and there are some large lumps in here that we're going to be getting rid of. We don't want that in our cookie. So I just got rid of that, and now we are going to sift it again. We want our macarons to be light and airy. Okay, and this time there's just a little bit of tiny bits that aren't going through, so we're going to get rid of that too. All right. Okay, when you're doing egg whites to whip up nicely, you want to make sure there's no residue in your bowl. So I'm just going to put a splash of vinegar, and I'm just going to wipe out the bowl just to make sure there's no residue of anything in here, so our egg whites can whip up nicely. Okay, and now, since I'm making 2 batches, I put all the egg whites together. I'm going to get 100 grams of egg whites into here. Okay, and that was too much, so I'm just going to get some of that out. Oops. They're a little slick, so you might have to hold on to a little bit of the egg whites with your thumb. We're almost there. There, 100 grams. Okay, and now we're going to get our stand mixer with the whisk attachment. Okay, and we're going to get a 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. Ready. We're going to let this whip up until it's frothy. Our egg whites are frothy, so we're just going to go ahead and put our 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar in there. Now we're going to get our 1 teaspoon of vanilla in. And we're going to start spooning in sugar a little at a time, very, very slowly. And you want to take your time with this part. Slowly get that sugar mixed in. And scrape down your bowl as needed. Scrape down some of this powdered sugar, or sugar that we blended up. Okay, I'm going to scrape down my bowl again. So the sugar sticks to the side. And I'm going to get a little bit of yellow gel food coloring in here. You want to use gel, I think, or powdered. That way it doesn't water down your batter. Okay, let's see how that does. Scrape that down. You know, I think 2 batches could fit in here nicely. Ooh, and that's a beautiful yellow color. Doesn't it make you think of spring? Okay, and we want to get to stiff peaks, so we're going to keep on whisking. Okay, now we're going to check how we're doing. Okay, that looks pretty stiff. And then you should be able to go like this, upside down with your bowl, and nothing come out. So that looks pretty good. And now we are going to slowly, in about 3 batches, we're going to get our almond flour and sugar mixture incorporated into our meringue stuff. Okay, we're going to fold that in. So we're going to go around the bowl and cut into the stuff, the mixture, and gently get them combined. I guess getting these two mixtures combined is called the macaronage. Okay, that looks good. So now we're going to get our next batch in. Okay, so we're going around the bowl, scraping around and then cutting through the middle. Then, once that's incorporated, now this is our last bit of almond flour mixture. Okay, and now it's all incorporated. Now we're going to press the mixture against the sides of the bowl. And I know it seems counterproductive, but we don't want all of the air bubbles because we want our batter to be able to flow off of our spoon or our spatula, and see, it's not flowing right now. So we want to smash some more of those air bubbles out until we get the perfect consistency. We want to be able to make a figure 8 that doesn't break. I'm just going to smash those out. So as you're smashing, you just want to try to make a figure 8 every little bit. That way, once you get to that phase, you don't want to go past it. You want to stop there. All right, so we just did a little more smashing against the wall of the thing. And so now we're going to try our figure 8 again, and we're almost there. Okay, and now I can make a figure 8 without the batter breaking. I was able to make several figure 8s. So as long as you can make a figure 8 and it doesn't break, then you're ready. And now I've got a piping bag here, and I have a Wilton 12 tip. It's just a little circle in a bag. And I'm just going to get this in here in this cup so that hopefully it'll be easy to fill. All right, now we're going to get our batter into our cup. All right, now that our batter's ready, we're going to go ahead and get our baking sheet ready. You want a really flat baking sheets because you don't want your macarons to be crooked or slanted. I'm going to put this flat edge against here, and then I do want it to fit nicely, so I'm going to straighten this up a bit. And now I've got 2 flat sides. I'll get the other 2 sides. I'm just going to make a crease on these last two sides. Putting some pot holders down here. All right. I'm going to lift our bag up. Okay, and we want to glue down 4 dots in the corners with our batter. Stick that down nice and flat. And now we're going to make our circles. They have templates and everything, but I just free-handed it. And you're supposed to do some kind of flick of the wrist. And you want to kind of get them the same size, and they will spread a little bit, so you do want to leave room. I think you're supposed to start in the middle and then go up. I think I'm going to call it good for this one. And I'm just going to, after you're done piping your macarons, then you want to slam it against the counter. Okay, and then if you see any big holes, then you want to just get rid of those air bubbles because they will make holes in your macarons. So you can see the little tiny holes. You want all those little tiny holes to come to the top. And you don't want any big holes under there. All right, and then once it's done, we're just going to leave it because the tops have to dry before we can bake it. The first time I made them, my macarons had to sit for 40 minutes before the tops were dry. You should be able to run your finger on the top of the macaron and then it not smudge or anything. It should just be dry. Macarons freeze really well too, so that is a plus. You can make these for a cookie tray or for an event, which is very handy. This is messy business, guys. Okay, and there's a little batter. You don't want any batter left behind. Hope y'all can see that. Okay, and I seen where someone made some really cute tiny ones. So I think I'm going to try to make some cute little tiny macarons. They were like little mini macarons. So cute. Oops, that one's gonna look weird. All right. Oh, I hope these turn out, y'all. Okay, we're ready to bang our tray. It really helps to smooth them out. And then we're gonna just get any of the little bubbles that we see. And if you can see any bubbles hiding under the surface, you want to do that. Poke those little holes. Smooth out any little things that you can. Sometimes the bubbles are just hiding right under the surface. You can see them a little bit. All right, and now we're just going to leave these on our counter, and the tops are just going to air dry, and then we'll be able to run our finger across the top of it, and it will be perfectly no smudges or anything. When you gently run your finger across it, it'll just be dry on top, and then we'll know they're ready to bake. So last time it took about 40 minutes, so 30 to 40 minutes. You should just keep an eye on them. The humidity of each house is different and everything, so you just gotta check as you go along. And you leave them just out in the air. Our macarons have been sitting for 40 minutes, and I preheated my oven before, I gave it about 20 minutes before the 40 minutes were up. That way I could have the oven preheated. And now you can see our macarons, and if I gently run my finger over the top of it, it doesn't stick and it doesn't make any marks on the macarons, on the macaron shells. So we are gonna go ahead and get these two into the oven, and the recipe says to bake them 12 to 15 minutes. The first time that I made them, I had to bake them for 19 minutes, and you wanna switch the trays halfway through. That way you get even baking and everything. And I just looked at the foot also, and when it's shiny, still shiny, that means it's not quite done. So I had to go extra for my oven. So each oven is different. So just check and see how long it'll take for your macarons. I'm gonna probably keep checking on mine, but mine will probably take about 19 minutes. So we're gonna get these into the oven. And I'm gonna set my timer for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna switch the trays. Our timer just went off, so we're gonna switch our trays. It smells so sweet in here. They're looking good. It looks like they're getting their feet. Okay, and I'm gonna set my timer for 9 more minutes. And I'm also preparing my butter for the buttercream. We need 1 cup of butter for our French buttercream. So I'm just doing pats of butter on a plate so that it can get nice and softened. Okay, our macarons have been in here for 19 minutes. So we're going to take a tray out and just check them. And they look pretty good. I'm just gonna, you're not supposed to move them until they're dry, but you can test one, and that came up pretty easily. So I think I'm gonna call that good for this batch. I was worried about the small ones. I thought they might burn before the big ones got done, but they did fine. And they're so cute. Okay, and so you're supposed to just let them completely cool. And we're gonna get our pink batch in. I made a pink batch, so we're gonna get those in the oven. So the 19 minutes works well for my oven, so don't be afraid to just check on them and lift one up to see how they're doing, and just stick them right back in the oven if you think they need a little bit longer, so that you can figure out the bake time for your oven. Our macarons are all out of the oven, and now we're going to start our French buttercream. So we've got our pats of butter that are room temperature, and we've got our 5 egg yolks. We're going to go ahead and get that into our mixer. And we're going to put a pinch of salt into the egg yolks. Okay, and we've got a 1/2 cup of sugar here. We're going to get that into our pot. And here's 3 tablespoons of water. We're going to get that onto a medium, a little above medium high heat. We want all of that sugar to dissolve. So here's our mixture. We're going to heat that up, and we need it to come to 240 degrees. So we've got our thermometer here. We're going to go ahead and start mixing our egg yolks in our mixer, and we want them to get light yellow in color. So we're going to start whipping those up while we're heating up our sugar mixture over here. We're at 240. So we're going to turn that off and get that off of the heat. All right, and our egg yolks have gotten lighter in color. And we're going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to pour this syrup in while the beaters are going so that it can combine with the egg yolks. We're going to drizzle it in. And now we're going to continue whipping. We want this to come to room temperature. You can feel the bowl, and it's warm right now. So we're going to let that cool down before we add our butter. Okay, I've been whipping. I just stopped the mixer for a second. I've also got some. These are the very first macarons I ever made. I wanted to try them and make sure that they could freeze well. So I'm going to take these out of the freezer, and then we'll let them sit out for a little while and see how they are. So here's the first ones I made. And this little ridgy part is called the foot on the macarons. And these also have French buttercream in them, and they're a light pink. The ones we made today are a little bit darker shade of pink. So we'll let these out and see how they taste after they've been frozen. And we're gonna go ahead and get some of our butter mixed in, or all of our butter, a pat at a time. Okay, I'm gonna scrape everything down to make sure all the butter is down in our buttercream. It looks so good. When I made those macarons the first time, that was the first time I made this French buttercream too. It is so good, really good. It's so creamy. We're gonna try it. It is so good. It's not overly sweet, and it's so smooth. It's really delicious. It's really rich and buttery. This is a delicious filling for the macarons. And it's a pretty color from the egg yolks. It's like a vanilla color. I hope you can see that. It looks so good. All right, put this out of the way. I've got the same tip that I used to pipe the macaron shells I've got for the icing also. Need a spoon. Either the top half of the oven or the bottom half made these a little bit darker. I think, can you tell? These are a little lemony yellow on this side. These are a little bit more toasty color. But that's okay. They'll still be delicious. And here's our little tiny ones. Okay, and then you're supposed to match up the macarons with each other. I think I'm gonna get the little ones over on this side. They're so cute, so tiny. Some of them I got a little close together, especially on this tray. And I tried a heart design too, a freestyle heart design right here, but it didn't turn out too good, and then some of them are too close together. So you don't want them to touch, but they're still going to be delicious. They just will have a little mark on the side of them. Okay, and you want to, mine aren't perfect, so you'll want to match them up with another macaron shell so we can sandwich them together. And then there's all these tiny ones. Okay, now we're gonna pipe our filling, and they have to be completely cool, of course. I'm piping not quite to the edge because when you push them down, then a little bit of the icing will squish out when you sandwich it down. There's a macaron. I still need quite a bit of practice, and they are not perfect, but they do taste really good. And as you can tell, my sizes are a little, they aren't perfect. They do have templates though. If you want them to be perfect, you can use a template so that you can get perfect circles or any shape that you want. And these are supposed to be refrigerated, and they're supposed to age in the fridge for 12 to 24 hours. So this is a great make ahead dessert too. And then if you do decide to freeze them, which is a great option if you're making them for a party or a special event or anything, cookie boxes at Christmas or anything like that, then you want to pipe your icing in and then let them age in the fridge for the 12 to 24 hours and then freeze them. And then you can take them out of the fridge and they'll be ready to serve. And you can just also cook a bunch of shells and then, you know, the day of the event, make your filling, and part of the work will already be done since you have your shells all done. So you could go that route too. This French buttercream is really good. I've made Italian buttercream before for cakes, but this French buttercream is so good. It's not overly sweet and it's really rich from the egg yolks. Very delicious. And when you freeze them or put them in the fridge, you want them in an airtight container. Last time I tinted my icing pink too. You can tint your icing on your macarons. Today I decided to leave it just its natural color, but you can do that also. There's a lot of flavor variations also on these macarons that look so good. Okay, now for these tiny ones. They're so cute. You just need a tiny bit of buttercream. That one's a little bit messed up. Let's see. Okay, maybe that's better if I just squeeze it into the middle. There we go. It's a bite-sized one. And you can decorate the top. I've seen some with sprinkles, and you could melt some white chocolate or dark chocolate and drizzle that across the macarons. You can get really creative. Maybe we'll get some pink ones. Now, here's some of the tiny pink ones. A tiny pink one. I love the tiny ones. They're just so cute. We've got our macarons filled. Uh-oh, it fell over. Fix that up. Aren't they so beautiful? They feel like spring. Spring and Easter with the pink and the yellow. They are so cute, and look at those tiny ones. They're just so cute. Okay, so you're supposed to let them age for 12 to 24 hours, but we're gonna do a taste test anyway. So we're gonna taste one of these tiny ones. Perfect bite size. They're so delicious. I think the aging process, part of the moisture from the buttercream goes into the shell of the macaron and gives it that perfect chewy and crunchy and everything, the perfect bite when you let them age. And here's the ones from the freezer that I made. Okay, these are big, so this might be messy. Okay, let's try them out and see how they are. They're delicious. so they freeze well. You guys, I wanted to make sure they did and let you guys know they freeze really well. They taste great. I think you're supposed to keep them stored in the fridge too, and just bring them out, you know, when you're gonna have the party or stuff like that, when people are gonna be eating them, and you don't want them out too long. Like the things I read is like an hour or 2 hours, and then you want to get them back into the refrigerator. But there they are. So fun hanging out with you guys today and making these macarons. It's fun to try new things. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. I hope that you all have a blessed day, and I will see you all next time. Bye.